5 after 12, and how welcome indeed it is. This is your weekly opportunity to achieve the sort of satisfaction not ordinarily available anywhere else on your radio dial. If you haven't listened to it before, just sit tight, all right? You're in for a bit of a treat. If you have, you kind of know the score, so I sometimes wonder what point there is behind me explaining roughly what the rules are. It's you ring in with a question. Someone rings in with a question. It could be something silly. It could be something deadly serious. It could be scientific, historic. I don't really like questions about cars, but that's it, really. And even then, sometimes they can be quite good. And then someone else rings in with the answer. And that doesn't sound particularly promising, does it? But this has now been running as a regular radio feature. It must be close to becoming, apart from Ken Blinking Bruce, it must be close to becoming one of the most long-running features on British radio. Indeed, it's even spawned its own board game, would you believe? And what's more, you can win one by making the most popular well, I say popular, by making my favourite contribution of the week, whether question or answer. If your contribution to this week's Mystery Hour is my favourite by 1 o'clock today, then you will be sent a brand spanking new Mystery Hour board game just in time for Christmas. I've signed a few this week. I'm not sure about, I use a Sharpie when I'm doing signings, and sometimes in the queue of people waiting to get a copy of How They Broke Britain signed, have I told you the good news about How They Broke Britain? I don't think I have I? If I tell you this, I might get emotional, because it is actually dedicated to my late father, and that puts a whole different dimension on things. But this weekend in the Sunday Times, my new book will be at number 4, which is thanks entirely to you. Actually, well, I wrote it, didn't I? But if you bought it, then I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough. The only people who've sold more books in the United Kingdom than me this week are Arnold Schwarzenegger, Britney Spears and Billy Connolly, which for a politics book is absolutely unheard of. And that's why I'm glad you can't see me at the moment, because I might just be tearing up a little bit. But when people are bringing me copies of the book to sign, a few people have brought the board game, and I'm 99% certain that as soon as they've gone away from the desk, it's smudging all over the place, because it's a really glossy box, isn't it? It's a really glossy box, and Sharpies dry quite quickly, but I am very, very worried that there are smudged Mystery Hour boxes all over the place. Anyway, if you want to get yourself one, either for Christmas or for someone you really, really love, or just for yourself, because you deserve it, then you can go to mysteryhour.co.uk, and you'll find it there. It's also available in an increasing number of shops, but mysteryhour.co.uk is guaranteed to be with you shortly. Terms and conditions are at the website for the competition. If you want to be in with a chance of winning it, go and check the terms and well, no, you've got a chance of winning it whether you check the terms and conditions or not. But if you're weird like that, then lbc.co.uk contains the terms and conditions. mysteryhour.co.uk contains the game itself. 8 minutes after 12 is the time. Just before we crack on, I've been reading out critical texts and emails a bit more than usual today, because I think in the context of Israel and Gaza, it's very important for me to stress and remind you that whatever I say, two different people will hear two completely different things, both convinced that I'm entirely siding with the other person. So I'll read out this one as well, although I read it with a heavy heart. After years of listening to your brilliant show, sadly we must now part ways, as I am unable to listen to anything espoused by a devotee of the most disgusting chocolate bar in the world, Karamak. So farewell, James. It was lovely listening to you, but it's now glaringly apparent that you are a psychopath. The most disappointed Dan in Burnley. Oh, how do you know you're the most disappointed Dan in Burnley? There might be another Dan in Burnley. His wife left him this morning. How can you can't be the most disappointed? Well, anyway, I'm sorry, Dan, but, you know, I speak as I find. If you can't take it, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, you snowflake. 9 minutes after 12, and this Dan is not in Burnley, he's in Huddersfield. Question or answer?
Question, James.
Carry on, Dan.
My question is, why don't orchestras just learn the song? Why do they always have to read from the sheet of music?
Yeah, because the soloist has learnt it. I think I'm just trying. The last concert I went to was in Manchester, and the soloist doesn't have sheet music in front of them, but the orchestra does.
I've not seen many orchestras in person, but every time you see them on the TV, they've always got the sheet in front of them. When you go see a band live, they don't have, no, but
they've got a much bigger repertoire. They've got a much bigger repertoire, orchestras. You come in, it's a 2-hour piece of music. How many of them can you keep in your head at the same time?
Are they going in blind? Do they not know what they're going to be playing before, or is it just a big surprise for them?
They're definitely not going in blind.
Well,
because you rehearse with the conductor a lot, and we've had a question about the difference that a conductor can make, and it was actually one of my favourite questions and answers in a while. It was really good, but you'd think that they all knew it. I like that question. I mean, it might be that we both end up looking a bit daft, but at the moment, I like that question. Why don't members of the orchestra, why don't they know the bloody music, Dan? Instead of having sheet music in front of them. You're on orchestras and Dan. I've been writing it down with my Sharpie. Thank you, mate. It is 10 minutes after 12 and Fergus is in Dundee. Question or answer, Fergus?
Hi, James. It's a question, please.
Carry on.
The question is, what happens in our brain when we get over a certain fear? So I was deathly afraid of spiders for a long time.
Yes.
Moved in with my partner. She's really afraid of spiders, and I just one day kind of dealt with it. And
Yes.
now I'm not scared of them anymore.
Well, I mean, I think it's called exposure therapy in treatment, I think. So you took it upon yourself by dint of being so manly that you would deal with the spiders, even though you were probably at least as scared as your girlfriend.
Yeah, well, I mean, to tell you a very short story, when I first moved into this flat, my kitchen had like a corner with a couch, and I got trapped in the corner by a spider. And I managed to drop the textbook on him. I feel bad about it now.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Drop the textbook on him and then put another 3 or 4 textbooks on it.
It's that bad? You were that scared? You were that scared?
Yeah. And then she came around the next day, found 4 textbooks with a stool upturned on top of it with a note that said, "Danger, spider underneath."
This was you doing this?
Yeah.
And it was your mum that came round and found that?
Yeah.
That's quite sweet. And did your mum dispose of it? Your mum got rid of the spider for you, did she?
Well, it was very dead by that point, but yeah she must have. Yeah.
And now, I mean, now what? It's like da-da-da-da-da, spider rescue.
Yeah, put him in a cup, bring him outside.
No problem. Do you know what, Fergus? I'm the same with mice.
Really?
Yeah, little ones. I don't think I could do it with a rat yet. I used to be massively phobic about rats, and I'm not anymore. If I see a rat scurry across the towpath, I don't jump 8 feet in the air. I don't like it. I wouldn't keep one as a pet. But we've got 3 cats and building work, which, can disrupt things. And so they've been bringing mice in a little bit, like 1 or 2 a month maximum. And I would once, we'd have argued furiously about whose job it was to get rid of the mouse. But now I'm pretty chill about it. So the same thing has happened to me, and I think it is just that sense of, well, if I don't do it, who will? Which only really happened to you after you moved in with your partner.
Yeah, and we've got 4 cats, and they just play with the spiders. They don't even kill them. They just toy with them.
That's just cruel.
Yeah, so we're coming to see you tomorrow, by the way.
How are you? I can't wait. Which one is it? Is it Edinburgh tomorrow or St Andrews? Edinburgh. I'll see you there tomorrow. Then. Nice one.
And if I over a CD of my old band, if that's not inappropriate.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. I'd love it. Thank you, man. I'll see you tomorrow night. What is the reason? How do you overcome what feels like a genuine phobia without any treatment? Is it just exposure? Is there a word for it? Does it happen because you've had to, or does it happen because you just sort of, it wears out, it tires? Thank you, Fergus. It is 12:13 and David is in Wembley. David, question or answer?
Question, please, James.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the first time I'm a bit nervous.
It's only me.
So basically, I was going to call last week, but I didn't get the chance. But I had a really great dream, like a week or 2 ago.
This is top radio already. Go on.
And my question is, why is it so hard to remember dreams after you've just had them? Because it was a good dream, and even as I woke up, I was trying to hold on to it. I didn't keep a pen and paper, as some people say. But it's like, even as you're trying to remember it, it's already going. It's a weird one, but yeah.
Well, you're not conscious when you have it. It's going to be part of the answer, isn't it? In some way, it's sometimes you can remember bits of them, but I think why are dreams so hard to remember is actually a really good question. I can't believe we've never had it before, which, to be honest...
Or maybe why some dreams are easy to remember than others, maybe something like that.
That's probably to do with the circumstances in which you woke up, whether you were sort of dragged out of REM sleep or whether you'd come to the end of a sleep cycle. If you come to the end of a sleep cycle, I imagine they're lost forever. But if you're dragged out of it mid-dream, then it's going to be fresher. Why am I talking, David? I have no idea. No idea at all. I put it on the list. Why are dreams so hard to remember? How come? And what is happening when we overcome a deep and visceral or atavistic fear? And why don't orchestra members know the flipping music? Why do they need sheet music? Seriously, it's not as if Keith Richards turns up on stage with the Rolling Stones just leafing through the songbook before he launches into I Can't Get No Satisfaction, is it?
This is LBC. Lots of roses, no dress code, and the food has to be amazing. Co-op Funeral Care wants to get everyone talking about their funeral wishes, so they've been asking the nation what they'd like. Many of you would love your favourite songs that will reflect your personality and remind everyone of the good times. Some have already started creating a playlist. It might not be an easy conversation to have, but it doesn't have to feel taboo. Talking about your funeral wishes now helps your loved ones later. Co-op Funeral Care can help you start your conversation. Visit coop.co.uk/conversation.
At Eon Next, we believe life's better when you know that if you need help with your energy, there's a team of dedicated energy specialists who work hard to get it sorted, so you can get back to doing what you like quicker. We think that makes energy a little bit better. And that's why we're always working towards helping you get more out of your energy. So visit eonnext.com today.
Every year, thousands of people lose money in investment scams.
I wanted to make my savings work for me, so I found an investment company online. My investment looked like it was doing well, so of course I gave them more money, but the problem started when I tried to withdraw it. They stole £30,000. When CEL called to say they'd recovered every penny, my wife and I just cried.
We help recover money from the financial system that's failed you. Visit celsolicitors.co.uk today.
Julius Caesar here. I have trust issues, probably because my friends betrayed me to death. So when I need a tradesperson, I don't trust them, I trust Checkatrade. They check all their tradespeople and check the reviews are real, so I know they'll get the job done right without the treachery. Recommendations you can rely on. Sometimes running a business can feel like cycling uphill with square wheels. But Xero online accounting software can help predict the future cash flow of your business, so you can stay one step ahead. Soon it'll feel more like freewheeling downhill. Woohoo! On a tandem, what, mate? With a masseuse on the back. Oh, that's nice. Search Xero with an X, because healthy business is beautiful business.
Next year at Riviera Travel, we're toasting 4 glorious decades of exploration. So here's to all the oohs and ahs as you glide through the Rhine Gorge on our 5-star river cruise ship. Here's to learning the true meaning of Zen in a traditional Japanese garden. Here's to being left speechless by Lake Como. And here's to you joining our 40th celebrations in 2024 on land, ocean or river. Find out more at rivieratravel.co.uk. Mystery Hour with James O'Brien. This is LBC.
It's 18 minutes after 12. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. We are puzzled at the moment, mystified even by the reason why members of orchestras don't know the flipping music. How people like Fergus and me have managed to very bravely and courageously overcome very deep and atavistic fears. In my case of mice, rats, in his case of spiders. And David wants to know why we find it so hard to remember our dreams. Richard is in Tunbridge Wells. Richard, question or answer?
I can answer the sheet music.
Good man.
If you wish.
Yes, please.
In an orchestra, you're one of many. You don't really do very much.
Yes.
In terms of a 2-hour performance, you're not playing for 2 hours unless you are the virtuoso violinist.
Especially if you're on the kettle drums.
Or on the piano, which is where my qualification comes from.
That's where you come in.
You do need to know where everybody else is. So it's almost like when you used to, in English class, everybody in the lesson had to read out a certain paragraph.
Yeah.
Right. You might know the exact paragraph. You might know it off by heart. And every one of those musicians will know their bit off by heart.
Yeah.
But you need to know when to come in. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Oh, I mean, it's again. I think it doesn't undermine the quality of the question because it's
a great question.
It is a great question, but it is. Yeah, exactly that. But now you've explained it, it's blooming obvious, isn't it? So you're sitting there for a 2-hour piece of music and you're only coming in for the last 10 minutes. How the hell are you going to know exactly where to come in just from listening with your eyes closed?
There's an possibly apocryphal story that I was told when I was younger about tuba players in orchestras who have, 4 bars right at the start, 4 bars right at the end, but would just, walk off to the actual bar to get a drink, but always counting in their heads because they know the music well enough, and then walk back in right at the summation of it. And they could do that because they were talented musicians.
Oh,
everybody is basically just keeping up to pace as to where the piece of music is.
That's brilliant. Qualifications?
Was Young Musician of the Year 3 times. Well, was on Young Musician of the Year, BBC Young Musician of the Year 3 times when I was much younger.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well done, man.
I was a prodigy.
What do you call a prodigy when they grow up?
They call them failed.
No, you're not failed. You're a former prodigy, but do you still play? Do you still play professionally?
Oh goodness, no.
Oh, really?
My hands never got big enough.
Was it that simple? Was it really that simple?
Pretty much, yeah.
To be a Premier League virtuoso, you would need to have bigger hands.
If you think about the small differences that can make it between, you've got a really good team of 11-year-old footballers.
Yes, I was exactly thinking of sport, actually.
The ones that can make it just by being an inch taller or an inch shorter. Yeah, that's one of those things.
You sound pretty sanguine. You sound sanguine about it. You sound pretty chill.
Oh, it's one of those things.
It
I
is.
still enjoy it personally.
Oh, that's nice to know. Well, I'll give you a round of applause, Richard.
Oh, well, there we go. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. I hope you don't feel I'm rubbing in the smallness of your hands by playing out that.
Now that you've mentioned it, absolutely. I'll let it slide.
What a lovely answer. What a lovely bloke. Thank you, mate. Chris is in Manchester. Chris, question or answer?
Hi, James. It's a question.
Go on.
So when you put a bottle of water or anything of water in a freezer and freeze it, why does the water expand rather than contract?
Why would it contract?
Well, because anything that, when you cool things down, they get smaller, don't they?
Yeah.
So your wood, when it's warm, your door expands.
It is unusual. Water is unusual like this. I see what you mean.
Why does water act different to everything else that we know of? Like mercury, we're using a thermometer because it expands and contracts. Why doesn't water follow the same rules?
I think that I know this, but it is entirely in your gift to decide whether my answer is satisfactory or not.
Go on then.
I think that, so think of the space that is available for molecules, and water fills that space in liquid form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it freezes, it forms into, what's the word I'm looking for? It forms into a crystal structure. The crystal structure of ice means that the molecules take up more space than they do when they are floating around randomly. And that is why water expands when it freezes. It's because it is turning into crystal structure, crystals.
Okay. It sounds plausible.
Well, yeah, it's true. But it's definitely true. And the only question is whether or not I could explain it, and someone else could explain it in a way that sounded completely convincing and definitive. Because they're not going to add anything, I don't think, to what I've said, except more knowledge, not more understanding. So it's up to you. Are you going to take that or not?
I want more. I want, there must be like a... I know. My wife told me not to phone in because you would tell me it's a stupid question.
It's not a stupid question at all.
Well, I hope she's listening to this.
It's not a stupid question. What about if I bring density into it? So the ice is less dense than the water.
I guess that'd explain why the ice floats on water.
Exactly that, yes. So it's less dense, which means it takes up more space, even though it is the same amount of substance, if you see what I mean. Crystal lattice, does that help?
Yeah.
Crisp, but not enough, is it? You want someone to... No, that's all right, mate. It's fine. Yeah, I just do this. I just do this for a living. Don't worry, this is fine. It's just my show. I invented it. There's a board game. I came up with it myself. I've presented it for 20 years. I thought I was quite good, but you're fine. You hang in there. Wait for someone else, Chris. Don't mind me.
Give yourself a round of applause.
You give yourself a round of applause, you patronising git. Honestly. You're on. Why does water expand when it freezes? And the answer has to be better than mine. Thank you, Chris. Annie is in Sutton. Annie, question or answer?
A question, please, James.
Thank you.
Where should you keep your toothbrush?
In your toothbrush pot.
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
But I watched an advert the other day.
Oh, no.
About those things you stick in the toilet to keep it nice and clean and run blue stuff into it.
Yeah, some people think that's quite vulgar.
But it also, the advert says it stops poo particles flying around the bathroom.
My first band was called the Poo Particles.
I was trying to be polite. So if poo particles are flying around the bathroom and your toothbrush is there, are you not cleaning your teeth with toothpaste?
Yeah, and you could put the lid of the toilet down.
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
So it's just Keith said that, so don't feel bad.
I feel bad now. But I've started keeping it in my bedroom at the moment because it bothered me so much.
Yeah, I can see why. Once it's in your head, it's going to be hard to get out again, isn't it? And you flush it, and
really
the particles fly into the air. I mean, what? I mean, yes, is the short answer. I think that probably the physics of it, the description is correct. That if you flush the toilet after a number 2, then number 2 particles are going to be floating into the air, but not at a level that I think is problematic, if that makes sense.
Oh, so it's only micro.
Yeah, well,
that
particles.
You're cleaning your teeth with.
Particles. I mean, you know, if you were coming down regularly with E. coli or Clostridium difficile or something like that, then you would, then you'd probably want to take some evasive action. But I don't think that there is. But have you got a bathroom cabinet, Annie?
I don't put it in there.
Well, it makes more sense than your bedroom. What?
I just have it by the side of the sink, and so do loads of people. But you know, maybe it's the cleanest place in the house.
Well, it won't be the cleanest. Well, it might be the cleanest place in the house. That's what they say, isn't it? Because it's the place that gets cleaned most often. So, what is your question? Is it dangerous?
Where's the best place to keep your toothbrush?
Yeah, all right, then I'm putting that on the list. I like that. Where is the best place to keep your toothbrush? Someone's written, my dad keeps his in the kitchen. That's from Marion.
Wow.
Why does he keep it in the kitchen? I just thought it could have get all oniony, couldn't it?
Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. But you know, the bedroom is where it is at the moment, and I'm not sure whether that's a good idea either.
No, I hear you. You're on. Okay.
Thank you.
Where is the safest, most sanitary place to keep your toothbrush? Thank you, Annie. 28 minutes after 12. I was just thinking, Chris Evans hasn't rung in for ages, has he? He used to ring in. What name did he use when he rang in? I can't. Was it Ivor? What did he call himself? Milo in Marlow. Was it Milo in Marlow? I was just thinking of don't forget your toothbrush. I was trying to come up with a joke, but there wasn't one really. But he hasn't rung in for ages. 28 minutes after 12 is the time. Dane is in Stoke-on-Trent. Dane, question or answer?
Answer, please, James.
Carry on, mate.
It's why ice expands when cooled rather than contracting.
Yes.
So, because hydrogen has a magnetic charge, water molecules have a rigid shape to them, and when they're in liquid form as a fluid, they kind of flow around against each other. If you think like a ball pit.
Yes, like it, a ball pit, yeah.
Yeah, and then once it starts to freeze, they start to form a rigid structure, almost like the carbon atoms in a diamond.
Crystals.
Yeah, like crystals, and that actually creates
more space between them than when they're in their fluid form.
Because they have to fit together. They have to fit in. They have to fit. They have to fit. That's the word I'm looking for. And because they don't fit, if it's freezing in a little crack in the road will crack. I mean, the force of the freezing is immense.
Yeah, exactly. It's why water at the bottom of the ocean doesn't freeze, even though it's extremely cold down there. There is so much water pressure on top of it. They physically can't move into that crystal form. Water is most dense, at sea level at least, water is most dense at 4 degrees Celsius.
Qualifications, please. Because if that, I tell you what, if that doesn't satisfy, who was it? I didn't write him down. That was a bit of a mistake. Chris if that didn't satisfy Chris in Manchester, then nothing will.
So I'm education staff in the Natural History Department of my local museum, currently studying for my degree with the Open University.
Boom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your studies. It's 12:30. Amelia Cox has your headlines.
Number 10 did not approve an article written by the Home Secretary attacking the Met Police over pro-Palestinian protests. A spokesperson says the Prime Minister has full confidence in Suella Braverman after she claimed officers are showing bias. British Transport Police has dismissed claims poppy sellers are a safety is at risk. The force, whose officers patrol railway stations, has criticised misleading information in the media. And the NHS waiting list in England has risen to 7.7 million at the end of August, another record high. Officials say the figure is actually made up of 6.5 million individuals, which means some patients are waiting for more than one treatment. LBC weather, a mixture of sunny spells and blustery showers. The heaviest rain in the west with drier conditions further east, a high of 11 degrees.
This is LBC. A video link, a sports theme, and bagpipes to play you out. Co-op Funeral Care wants to get everyone talking about their funeral wishes, so they've been asking the nation what they'd like. Some would like a small service close to nature, while others would like a big celebration full of humorous stories with an after party at their favourite pub. It might not be an easy conversation to have, but it doesn't have to feel taboo. Talking about your funeral wishes now helps your loved ones later. Co-op Funeral Care can help you start your conversation. Visit coop.co.uk/conversation.
Health isn't someday in the future, it's now. It's same-day GP appointments when you need that niggle seen to, and getting your results for your cancer test fast. Health is a direct line to experts, whatever time of day you need it, and mental health support that doesn't have an expiry date. Feeling your best every day starts today. Search Bupa Health Insurance to get your quote now. Bupa, this is health. Pre-existing conditions not covered. Terms and conditions apply.
At Eon Next, we believe life's better when you know you can choose a fixed energy tariff where you'll be safe in the knowledge of what energy price you're paying for the duration of your contract. We think that makes energy a little bit better. And that's why we're always working towards helping you get more out of your energy. So visit eonnext.com today. T's and C's apply. Smart meter required if eligible. Exit fees apply.
Come in. Boss, news from Nationwide.
What are they doing now?
They've just confirmed they're keeping branches open.
What nonsense! Who needs a branch? I don't.
Yes, but
What I need is happy shareholders. I don't care about happy customers.
you don't worry. Pretty sure Nationwide's customers won't be coming to us.
Unlike the big banks, we're not closing our branches. Nationwide, a good way to bank. To view our branch promise, search nationwide.co.uk/our-promise.
Girls! Sean! It's bedtime!
That's enough. Time's up.
Your Wi-Fi is going off.
Going off.
EE Wi-Fi Controls lets you pause the Wi-Fi on your kids' devices, helping them to switch off
and drift off. Search EE Home. Eligibility criteria apply. New EE broadband customers.
Are rising costs forcing you into unaffordable debt? An individual voluntary arrangement from Credit Fix could help. Write off up to 81% of your unsecured debt with manageable repayments and all interest and charges frozen. Just text debt to 66777. Text debt to 66777 now. Terms apply. May not be suitable for all. Can affect credit rating. Free advice at moneyhelp.org.uk.
Mystery Hour on LBC with James O'Brien. Call 0345 6060 973.
12:34 is the time. You are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Florence says, tell your caller to use a toothbrush cover for her toothbrush. I've got to apologise. A lot of people have been put off their lunch by that question. We probably should have seen that coming, Annie, but I don't think that we are in any position to start censoring ourselves. So I will reveal that, in fact, actually the phenomenon to which Annie referred by using the slightly delicate language of poo particles is, I think, officially known as a fecal fountain. Did you know that? A fecal fountain. Myself, I'd always prefer sherbet. Danny's in Saffron Walden. Danny, question or answer?
It's a question, James.
Carry on, mate.
It's a serious question, and it's frustrated me for decades.
Yeah.
You being a master of the English language.
Well, let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away here.
Well, one of the most articulate people I've ever listened to be quite honest. But anyway, that's a by the by. The letter H is spelt AITCH.
Yes.
Why so many people say H?
Yes. How strident are you in your critique of people who transgress in this way, generally speaking?
I think this is probably one of the very few things that, frustrates me. And even
but do you correct it? Will you always correct it?
Whenever I hear anybody says H, I always correct them.
You wouldn't correct your boss?
I would.
Would you really? Have you got a boss? Have you got a boss?
Sort of,
you haven't, have you? You haven't got a boss, have you? You're self-employed.
Well, I am self-employed.
Yeah, so you are your own boss. So when I said, would you correct your boss, you thought, well, I've got him here because I am my own boss and I would correct myself, but I would never say H anyway, so this is a completely mythical counterfactual. Stick that in your pipe.
Don't correct my wife, she's the boss, it's my wife.
And you correct her. Fecal plume, apparently, not fecal fountain.
She would never say, she's never said H.
H. Where does it come from?
H.
So, well, you know where it comes from.
Where?
People just presume that the letter H begins with the letter H, which is pronounced H, ergo H.
Oh, why don't people say Seth or Nen?
Yeah, that's a valid question. That's a valid question.
It's a very valid question.
I know it's a very valid question.
Can't we just go on the news and somebody just actually say once and for
I hate it. People here do it, and they're professional broadcasters.
I know, exactly.
I hate it, mate. Or rather, I hate it.
Agree with me.
I just want it gets right under my skin now. And actually, it's not incorrect to say scheduled instead of scheduled. It's just a bit of an Americanism, but that winds me up a bit as well. Maybe this is Danny. Maybe this is an us problem rather than a them problem. I mean, why does it matter ultimately?
Well, I've got it off my chest. I mean, I don't know how many listeners you have, maybe sort of 2 or 3 billion, I don't know.
It's roughly that, yeah, on a Thursday.
At least I've voiced it now rather than just individual people.
You're no longer alone. Why do they do it? So why do they do it? And I like the point you made. We don't even say Zez. For Z, the Americans say Z, possibly for similar reasons. Oh, we say Z, don't we? Z. Yeah. S is better than Z. Ses. We don't say Ses. We don't say Nen. We don't say Mem.
No, exactly.
Right, you're on. All right, why do we do it? Where does it come from? X? No, H. Why H instead of H? Some people listening to this will be utterly nonplussed as to what we're talking about because they've always said H and they had no idea they were not supposed to say H and they've never looked up the letter H in a dictionary. Andrew's in Epping. Andrew, question or answer?
Well, first of all, thank you, Danny, because that's been driving me mad for years.
Do you hate that as well?
Oh, mate, honestly, so annoying.
Funny one, isn't it?
Anyway, yeah.
Go on.
Don't start me off on it, please, Danny. You don't always done that.
Go on.
My question is, why don't we eat turkey eggs?
Yeah, I know.
And especially, I've got this. Don't sound
especially
leading up to Christmas.
Yeah, I know this. I've got this.
And why? Well, because my theory is there's going to be lots of them around coming up to Christmas. So
No, why? Why would there be lots of them around coming up to Christmas?
Well, there's lots of turkeys around.
Yeah, there are lots of turkeys around, but they're not necessarily reaching egg-laying age. And if they are, you want the eggs to hatch so that you can have more turkeys next year.
Right. So
they all hatch. There's no market for turkey eggs. There's only a market for turkeys. Well, they're not very nice.
That's what I'm going to ask next. Does anyone know what they taste like?
They're a bit like chicken. No, I'm joking. You can eat them, but they're not generally used because they're just not particularly delicious, and because people would rather have a turkey than an egg.
So quails, beef, and chicken good, turkey bad.
Yeah, I think so.
Fecal?
No, it's not. It's not the flavour. It's not the taste. It's the fact that we have an annual glut of turkeys at Christmas, which means that you do not have a flock that is laying regularly all year round. So you wouldn't be able to set up any meaningful supply chains that could be consistently. Because we buy chickens all year round and we buy chicken eggs all year round, but we don't buy turkeys all year round. Therefore, we can't buy turkey eggs all year round because they're just going to be horribly skewed, aren't they? You're going to get loads in 2 months of the year and none for the other 10.
Yeah, but the question is, I suppose, why do we never eat them? So therefore, they are the chicken eggs.
That, if you'd forgive me, is a chicken and egg question. Because we never eat them because we can't buy them.
Right, okay, yeah, fair enough, you've got me there.
So what came first? The inability to buy a turkey egg or the failure to eat a turkey egg?
Exactly. Now you're thinking on the right lines, aren't you? I know I didn't phrase the question properly.
But I'm not going to award myself a round of applause for reasons that I suspect are fairly obvious. But I think that the crux of the answer has already been conveyed, but not the fine detail of it. All right.
Okay.
So we shall see.
All right.
We're on. But thank you very much. But it will be linked to seasonality, I'm sure. Graham is in Southgate. Graham, question or answer?
Question, please.
Carry on.
I'm just over 50, so I'm 50 plus.
Yeah.
My hair, or my whatever, in my nose and hair and everything is grown.
Yeah.
In my noses and everything.
How many noses have you got?
I've got 2 friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But why is my hair growing in my ears and noses and my eyebrows more and quick?
It's one of the great injustices of.
Yeah, you're over 50, aren't you?
I am over 50, but one of the great injustices is that you lose hair where you want it, and you grow it where you don't.
No, I'm bald. I've been bald for a while.
That's not a contradiction of what I just said. Where would you rather be growing hair, on your head or in your ears?
That's rude.
It's not rude at all. We are losing our hair from places where we want it while growing it in places where we don't. Unfortunately for you, nobody actually knows. I mean, the more testosterone you've got, then the more likely you are to have hairy ears, some people say. But there's no one really knows why it carries on growing out your hair, out your nose and your ears.
Okay, so that's the other part of your game.
You will not. I mean, I'll put it on the board, so I won't take a round of applause, but I think the answer is nobody knows. We shall find out. Thank you, Graham. 12:43 is the time. Vitek is in Barnet. Vitek, question or answer?
It's a question.
Yes.
I wonder what is the melody of the Big Ben chime. It's so iconic, but it's repeated all over the different towns with the town clocks. What's the melody of it?
Is that, you mean so can you do it? Can you remember it?
Yes, that's it.
There's only 4 notes there, isn't there?
I'm not a musician myself, so I wonder if
well, it is. I don't know if this answers your question, but it is. Oh, come on, Westminster. 4 notes, quarters, Westminster Quarters it's called, and it is just a piece of music that was written for church bells, not for Big Ben necessarily, or for big bells, and they've adopted it. It's one of the most popular kind of peals. It's not even a peal, it's one of the most popular little tunes. So it's just called Westminster Quarters, and it works because we can both remember it, I guess. It's why it's really effective.
Right. So
the question was, what is the melody, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the melody is called Westminster Quarters.
Okay, and there are no lyrics to it. No.
Well, we could write some now together. Okay. We could write some. But then, what does it pop up in Oranges and Lemons? Do you know Oranges and Lemons?
No.
Oranges and Lemons, Vitek, is a lovely old English song based upon all of the church bells. No, well, I know that. That's why I don't feel that I'm patronising you by sharing this information. But we sing it as children, and it's an old children's song from probably the 18th or the 19th century that incorporates all the different tunes played by all the different bells of the prominent churches in London. So it would say, oranges and lemons, dun 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 dun, says the bells of St. Clemens, and then when will you pay me, says the bell of Old Bailey. When I grow rich, they're all quarters, aren't they? They're all 4 notes. When I grow rich, says the bells of Shoreditch. When will that be? Says it. Well, yeah, you could have said that with a bit more enthusiasm.
So interesting.
That's better. Yeah, it is, isn't it? So it's but I don't think Big Ben. I don't. The West. Dun, 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 that, did I just do dun, dun? When will that be? Was that the Westminster Quarters? You weren't expecting this when you rang in, were you, Vitek?
No, not at all. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and a round of applause for more.
Thank you.
Take care, Vitek. Mind how you go.
Coming up at 1 on LBC, Sheila Fogarty.
Suella Braverman doesn't so much go rogue, as rogue is her preferred mode of travel. So why does Rishi Sunak stick with her? Could it be the obvious reason?
Sheila Fogarty on LBC.
10 green bottles standing on the wall.
Oi, are you going to join in, Grub Bucket?
I'm wondering where the next charger is.
There's a BP Pulse charger coming up any minute, love.
Well, in that case...
And if 1 green bottle should accidentally fall,
Nothing keeps happy you going like knowing when a BP Pulse charger is nearby. Download the BP Pulse app to keep you going. BP's here for your travel needs, mostly with petrol and diesel, but BP Pulse already has over 3,000 rapid and ultra-fast charging points.
You can do this. You're Tom Daly. You know the routine. 30 degrees with a gentle spin, knitted jumpers in first, pirouette to the trunks, detergent.
Perform better on Sundays. Get half-price electricity, 11 a.m. till 4 p.m. with Peak Save from British Gas. Proud partners in Team GB and Paralympics GB. Ends 31st of December. T's and C's apply. Smart meter required.
The coins in your pocket started life at the Royal Mint. So can your future of gold ownership. From less than £150, buy and sell gold safely at royalmint.com. With secure storage available on all bullion coins and bars. Buy today to enter a prize draw for a Britannia half-ounce gold bullion coin worth over £800. Visit royalmint.com/wealth. Prize draw minimum purchase, 1 gold bullion coin or bar. T's and C's online.
This is it.
Level 23.
Level 24. 25. Final. Let's go.
Let's go.
I need power.
Turbocharge your gaming and reduce lag with EE Game Mode. And boost your broadband, even when everyone's online. Search EE Game.
EE Game Mode requires EE Smart Hub Plus.
The magic of Christmas is sharing. That Lidl have won Supermarket of the Year at the Retail Industry Awards and which cheapest basket for October. All the more reason to celebrate with us. All the great festive deals on our Lidl Plus app, more sweets and treats you could shake a candlestick at. And of course, those pigs in blankets. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes NI.
Ever been sold a timeshare or fractional ownership package? Step forward and claim compensation. Visit lincolngreenlaw.co.uk.
This is what award-winning
award-winning customer service sounds like from real Octopus Energy calls.
Just like to say, I'm very happy I am with Octopus Energy.
Thank you for talking to me. It's very good with it, you know. Thank you so much to you and Octopus.
Best energy company you could get. Well, it's taken 4 years to do that, so it did do me good coming over to Octopus, didn't it?
Octopus Energy, outstanding service at fair prices.
Mystery Hour on LBC with James O'Brien.
12:49 is the time. We've not done much, have we, by way of answers? So what we still need, we've done the orchestras one, I enjoyed that. How can we overcome fears, fears of phobias almost? Both me and Fergus have overcome them in relatively recent years. Why can we never remember our dreams, or why is it so hard to remember our dreams? What is the most sanitary place to keep your toothbrush? Why do so many people say H? Peasants. And why are there no turkey eggs for sale? Why don't we eat turkey eggs, and why do we grow hair out of our ears even after we've stopped growing it on our heads? I can't do another question. This is getting ridiculous. Are you mad? Have you counted how many questions are still waiting for answers? Steve's in Chelmsford. Question or answer?
I'm so sorry. It's another question.
Oh, great. Go on then.
Why is it that when you're driving, particularly on dual carriageways or motorways...
Is this a motoring question as well?
Well, not really. It's kind of like more bird related.
Oh, all right. It's an ornithology question.
Yeah. So why is it that when you're driving a dual carriageway or a motorway, birds swoop down across the road, almost playing Russian roulette with your car or lorry? Why don't they fly straight across the road?
Yeah.
Why is it that they choose to swoop down and then go up the other side?
Looking for a tasty snack, innit?
Are they?
Yeah. Checking it out, and then if they see something tasty, they'll park up on the other side of the road, wait until there's a bit of a lull in the traffic, then nip in and have a nibble.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What sort of birds are you talking about?
Mainly pigeons.
No, even yeah. I mean, they're scavengers, aren't they? So there it is. That will be it.
Right. Okay.
You don't sound convinced. You don't sound convinced.
Well, I wonder why they do it when there's cars travelling along there at like 70, 80 miles an hour.
Just checking, getting ready for when there isn't, and then they can nip in and grab a little bit of hula hoop or something. I'm not going to get a round of applause for this, Steve. I sense from your...
Some of them don't make it.
Well, there you go. They're risking their lives for a bit of hula hoop. And that actually adds to my answer, but I can't claim that I can't claim any basis for it except sort of speculation.
So it's nothing to do with them maybe...
There's a lane closure ahead.
Using almost like the...
Sat-nav.
Like a wind tunnel kind of thing.
You mean we're using it to get up some speed, like an aerodynamics type scenario?
Yeah,
Could be.
That kind of thing.
No idea. Let's find out.
Okay.
Why do they swoop? Do they swoop perpendicular to the road, or or parallel to the road?
Yeah. It's perpendicular, I suppose.
So they swoop across it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Not.
They swoop across and then just drop down low.
Up it.
And then almost hit your car.
And then whoosh, they're off. All right, we'll find out. Nice one. It is kind of a motoring question, really. But I like the way you've just sort of cunningly turned it into an ornithological question, so just about get away with it. Jackie's in Stuttgart. Jackie, question or answer?
Answer, James.
Carry on, Jackie.
To why we often don't remember our dreams, or why it's quite hard to remember our dreams.
Yes.
The dream phase of your sleep is only about a quarter of the whole time that you spend asleep.
Yep.
And whether or not you remember your dreams depends very much on whether or not you wake up while you're dreaming. If you wake up while you're dreaming, chances are you'll remember it.
Yep.
Or just after you've come out of dream sleep. But if you're in deep sleep, you won't remember it, because it's sort of your brain kind of rinses all that off. But dreaming is the way that you deal with what you've done during the day, or the things that are going on in your mind, and it has to sort of process and dump a lot of that.
Yep.
So if you wake up while you're dreaming, then you...
No, it's all right, I've got it. I've got it. Qualifications.
Having a problem with nightmares, and I was waking up every night with the same nightmare, and I had to speak to the doctor about it.
Really? And he talked you through what was going on as a way of helping you
I
on.
got medicine to stop me dreaming for about a week because I was getting really uptight about going to sleep and dreaming, and that was making things worse.
And it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked within a few days, but that's basically why.
Oh, a round of applause for Jackie.
Thank you.
Great answer. Thank you. Hannah is in Hull. Question or answer?
It's an answer, please, James.
Yes. Can you work out which one it is from the way I introduced you?
It's whether or not it's H or H.
Yes.
And the answer is basically snobbery.
Oh.
A lot of our words from Old English and words that have come over from places like France, originally wouldn't have had the h at the sound of it. So things like herb originally was herb, which is how they still say it in America. And
they do. They say herbs. They say herbs.
They are, because they were less bothered about the class system than we were. So I think it's the 18th century.
Yeah.
People suddenly got very uppity about how we sounded common.
Yes.
When we dropped our H's and T's and things like that. You know, we're saying letter instead of letter.
So the people who mispronounce it did so because they thought they would sound posher.
Yes.
So, because for me, saying H is the mark of an insufferable peasant. Hannah.
Well, I did think of that a minute ago when you just said that it was people who mispronounce H as H, and you said peasant.
Yes.
That is essentially what it is. We thought that if we dropped the A, the H, in H, we would sound posh.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so we... No, you've got me confused now. So they added the h sound to sound less common. Because normally we drop an H. Normally common people, the posh people, would think that dropping the H's sounds estuarine. So, you know, how's it going, Anna, in old, for example. And then you're sticking H's, so they've put an extra H on something because they thought it would make them sound posh, but actually it's made them sound the opposite of posh 200 years later. Oh, I love that. Qualifications?
I'm an English teacher.
Well, that doesn't explain how you know this. There's lots of English teachers in the world who wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo.
So when I was at university studying English, I did a course on medieval literature, which included having to speak Old English.
Round of applause for Hannah. Well played. I like that one.
Thank you.
I hope Danny likes it as well. Adam's in the Forest of Dean. Adam, question or answer?
It's an answer, James.
Make it snappy. Make it snappy. Why don't we have turkey eggs?
Because they lay only 100 eggs a year, whereas a chicken will lay 300 plus eggs a year. And they're bigger birds, so it's just not as...
It's not viable. I mean, because they're not significantly different. So if you're trying to feed an egg market, then you might as well use chickens. So it's got nothing to do with Christmas.
And they make the best scrambled eggs.
They're very creamy turkey eggs. I did malign them earlier incorrectly. Incorrectly.
That's why I phoned up.
Incorrectly. See, I'm just showing Suella Braverman how easy it is to say I was wrong. I was wrong. I made a mistake. I apologise. So it's got nothing to do with Christmas.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, if you think a turkey will lay an egg every 3 days, whereas a chicken will lay an egg.
And you've got a choice of what you're going to keep in your barn. You're going to keep a chicken in your barn.
Absolutely.
Qualifications?
I have chickens and turkeys.
There it is. Round of applause for Adam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you are. Stephen is in. Oh, come off it. Castelhalu. Castelhalu. I did a Spanish on the J then. Anyway, question or answer?
Answer, James.
Yes.
It's the why do birds?
Why do birds? Da, 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 da. Go on. What is it?
Well, birds evolved before cars.
This is very chunky. You can have that. That one's true.
Yeah, and it's an evasion strategy against predators. And so not all birds do it. Some birds, like starlings, fly very direct, but pigeons, wood pigeons particularly, you'll see them do the same flight pattern whether they're crossing a road or not. If you're walking down a field, you'll see them do that same up and then dip. And it's to evade mainly things like peregrines.
Well, like being a more moving target, really, is harder to hit.
Well, it's
like moving erratically. Moving erratically. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Whereas down.
Oh, you got it. Qualifications? Qualifications?
Member of the RSPB for many years.
So am I, but I didn't know that. Round of applause.
Well, I also take an interest.
Well, exactly. It's time I started paying more attention. Thank you very much. I think we've run out of time, so we didn't get some answers to some of them. It was a lovely one this week. I feel that Annie's fecal plume deserves a little bit of attention, but not from me. I'm going to give it to Richard, the pianist, because you don't need big hands to play the Mystery Hour board game. And if you don't understand that, then you weren't paying attention. If you missed any of today's show, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player, where you can also rewind live radio. You'll find all of LBC's shows there to catch up on, as well as the world's biggest podcast, including
again and then again. I remember my second gig was in Soho, a Laughing Horse gig, which they ran a lot of the open mic circuit in London back then. Wonderful to me they were in terms of the amount of gigs that I was able to do through them. Third gig was in West Hampstead. It was a free to enter gig, which you know can be difficult once you've got some experience on the circuit. But I remember doing that, and I remember Lee Mack was headlining, and even then doing a third gig with Lee, who was doing the sketch show at the time, and having somebody headlining that off the telly. Back then you're like, oh my, this is incredible. And I remember that third ever gig sat next to Tom Wrigglesworth, who just started the year before, and I'd heard him on possibly the So You Think You're Funny final or the BBC New Comedy final or something. I'd seen him or heard him on something, and getting to talk to him who'd from that open mic position had achieved so much, if you know what I mean. And you just end up finding this world of people. And
you found a momentum as well, I think.
It's a hobby. It's not I'm going to be a comedian. This is fun to do. These people are great. These are crazy. Such a wide, diverse group of people. Most of them nuts, and it's a social group, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
But you hadn't realised throughout all those years of being a fan, a mega fan, that you'd also been a student in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's people get into stand-up for a lot of reasons, and actors can get into stand-up because they want to create their own work and open doors that maybe they're not opening as an actor. People can get into stand-up because there's something about them that they're used to being funny about. So somebody with a disability thinking, well, I'm used to making jokes about my disability or my weight or whatever, so I'm going to go out there and do that, but without that love of stand-up being the backbone of it, if you know what I mean. Whereas for me, it was the love of stand-up that ultimately
in and of itself
got me into it.
When did you knock the day job on the head then? Because things worked, it's not exactly an overnight success, which I have seen you occasionally describe that as you've just pinned down. It's a 20-year career, which has gone into overdrive in the last few years. But when did you have the confidence to knock the day job on the head?
2 years, which seems is really quite quick for the open mic circuit. But 20 years ago, I suppose a lot fewer people doing it than there are now. I was motivated in terms of the number of gigs I did. Going from not being able to get a job and being employed to working in a call centre, the job was, the people were great, the job was mind-numbing, and then to find this thing that was exhilarating and adrenaline pumping and this new group of social group and this new hobby, I did 5 nights a week and just hammered it, and it became this thing that I got good at.
And you get quickly. Better the more you do, the better you get.
And I didn't do it to talk about being blind.
No, of course.
So I barely mentioned it. And I'd maybe do 2 jokes, one at the beginning, and I might drop a little joke in somewhere along the way. But I wanted to be Eddie Izzard, and not from the point of view of the, I wasn't doing the you stab him. But the variety.
I understand.
It was the variety of material
and the surprise
and the bashing the preconceptions over the head that. I knew that going on stage, people would expect it to be all blind jokes. Like I expected Eddie to be all kind of camp comedy. I wanted to do that same thing of not give them that at all, and that's what I did. Barely mentioned it, and I had stuff about sharks and giraffes and things like that, bomb disposal and all this kind of stuff. And looking back, I realised that was my driving force at the time, but also I think I probably wanted to make myself forget a little bit as well. Okay. Not just make the audience forget, but also I don't think when you're in your 20s, you're not and you've lost your sight very, very gradually. You're a different animal to someone who's always been blind, right? And you go through this huge period of denial and resistance and hatred of the things that define you as a blind person. Whether that's using a white stick, all these kinds of things, these identifiers you shun, and ultimately it makes you quite maladjusted in terms of. Sure. And so getting into stand-up, I think looking back, the part of it was that as well. It was I'm gonna challenge these preconceptions, make people forget, but also be normal. It's that normal word again, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
Is there a point, and I know you never really relax in this line of work because you're always worried the phone's going to stop ringing, but is there a point at which you would have allowed yourself to think you'd really made it?
I suppose once I realised that the stand-up was going to pay, and I ditched the job.
Even that early in the game, you'd think, I'm happy with that.
No. So I when I'm on the open mic circuit, it's a hobby. Yeah. And then once you start getting paid, you start looking at it as, this could be a job. Yeah. And at that point, I think every goal that I had was really around the Comedy Store. Right. Because that, as I said, that's where I went to watch comedy, and that was the top end of the circuit. And so it was about doing an open spot at the store. It was about doing getting a 20 at the store, getting a weekend at the store, being a regular at the Comedy Store. Mm-hmm. They were all of my first goals. And then to get to that point where I'm doing, four full weekends of gigs at the London store and then at the Manchester store every year. So that's 8 weeks of a year just doing the two biggest, best, most renowned, I suppose, rather than, clubs in the country. That was all of those ambitions achieved, but then you start going, when am I going to get my opportunity?
But it's gravy. I see what you say. You've got that bedrock about I've done that, I've built that, and now we come to the new show Yonks, which you're kind of fine tuning at the moment. Yeah, I've read that it's sillier than the last one.
So I finished my last tour in May, and it was meant to start in 2020, and due to something happened, I can't remember what it was.
There's a lot of that though in your life, because I think Dara's show was called So Where Were We, wasn't it? So an awful lot of people had, and Ed Byrne actually had a big hiatus as well. It threw quite a lot of things, a lot of stand-up acts into disarray. So
to come out of a tour in May and then to be starting again in January feels like quite a quick turnaround. But the truth of it is that I did have 2 years while this one was on hold, kind of putting stuff together, and so I haven't come out of this last tour empty-handed. And the last tour was a lot about, as I said, when I started doing comedy, I didn't really talk about being blind. And I think as you get older and you get more comfortable, I've got more comfortable in my own skin. I think a lot of that comes from being a dad. It changes your perspective as well. You become a lot more comfortable in your skin, your priorities shift. And being a dad gave me a lot to talk about that everybody can relate to, but with a twist, with a new angle, with a unique perspective.
An added dimension.
And so I didn't feel like I was just doing blind stuff. I was talking about stuff that everyone could relate to, and so the last tour had a lot